What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Core Conversations for Thursday. It's a Freestyle Thursday. It's Thursday, right? Yeah, it's Thursday. All right, so we got our So I Am shirt. We're back on this tip. So am I. Let's get some things going up here. Core Conversations podcast. Like, subscribe, and share. Fire Sign Pilates, long time. How are you? We have someone join us tomorrow. Hey Finn, what's going on? Hey Phil. Phil, do you want to join me? Or are you like working right now? And Finn, are you in school right now doing this? I was gonna send a few more. There you go. So swamped, eh? All good. All right. Well, just waiting for a few more people to jump into chat here, and I want to talk about a topic that came up yesterday as we were discussing training in general. Oh, that's a bad pun, Phil. Unless Finn said he was like swamped, then that would be an even worse pun. But do you see this picture, Phil? Some throwbacks from yesterday. Because I saw this guy yesterday. Doug Reisman. white on the shoulders of the jersey. Let's see it again. Oh, yeah. Okay. Hey, Carrie. Oh, wait. Let's try again. There. So I'm doing some canvassing yesterday and bumped into this guy on the campaign trail. Old friend of ours who played football with. And that's why the football and all the throwback pictures came up today, because this was, I feel like, Married with Kids, Ted Bundy, talking about how this is like your throwback pictures. That's me right there. Oh, can't do that. That doesn't work. 91. Crazy. Stephanie. Inspired Brand. What's going on? Carrie, I'm excited to have your hubby on tomorrow. That's gonna be a good time. We gotta talk about some things, and I think today's conversation is gonna tie into that in a sort of way. In the meantime, Inspire Brand, if you are free and want to join me for a second, come on. I'd love to hear what's going on with your business. I know you've gone through some transitions. You got kids back to school, and the focus shifts from time to time. So I want to hear what's going on with people. I've taken this week in terms of these conversations just to talk about where people are at. What's going on with your business? September is almost like a new season for people's businesses, much like January, and I want to hold space for that because everyone has in their head, okay, my people are coming back, I'm going to roll something out, I'm going to do something new, and it may fall flat on its face, or maybe the whole different trajectory of where my business goes. So what are you up to? If you want to join me on the screen, just request to join and jump on. Carrie, you could join me too. I don't want you to steal Rob's thunder for tomorrow, but at the same time, you're always more than welcome to join me. And as we start to talk about this muscle soreness thing, it was an interesting conversation from yesterday that I want to continue the conversation on because it went in a different direction than where I thought it was going. And it opened my mind to look at it from different perspectives. And I'm just dragging this out as more people join in the chat. But yeah, so yesterday, so going back to yesterday and our football days and stuff like that, it was fun just talking with him, and it's just interesting to see, where we've come and what we've done, and it's kind of just a good moment just to reflect and be like, man, still in this area, still doing things, still movement is still important, and that was just a fun time. So, what's going on, Lorna? So, for the call, I know are you a personal trainer as well? I can't remember. And Lorna, where are you located? But I'm going to ask this question to Phil. As a personal trainer, fitness guy, how much emphasis do you put on muscle soreness? So move anyways in the chat too, and here Kara is a perfect person to ask as well for this. Muscle soreness. This is the conversation that we had yesterday. And if I give you just a little more background on it, Kara, if you want to join me on screen, that'd be awesome. It'd be great to have this talk with you on it. But I'll give you the background story. I said yesterday how there's a guy who joined my new class that I'm teaching, a large group class. And when I was talking to people as they came in the second time, this second class, I said, hey, how's it going? What did you think of the class last week? And he's like, not so bad. I wasn't too sore. I figured you're going to make it a little bit harder today. And I have this, I don't know about you, but when I teach a class, a Pilates class, and then when someone says, that was easy, that was soft, I'm not sore, instantly I think, okay, I'm going to crush the whole class today, or I'm going to crush this person today, or I'm going to just stay on this person. And then I kind of pull back for a moment and then start to think, okay, so maybe if I look at his movement, maybe I could just dissect what he's doing a little bit more, pay more close attention to him, and make sure that he experiences it in a way where he's going to feel it. The other part to that conversation, though, is that what was his expectations? What was his expectations of the class? And then the other part to that is, as a Pilates person, were you taught that if a person is feeling sore, that you've done something wrong? That the whole point isn't a muscle soreness experience like bodybuilding or weight training, and that Pilates is something completely different. So what is your experience with muscle soreness as one of the results or benefits of your workouts? Do we condition our people to think that if they're not sore the next day, they didn't get a good workout? Do they come in with that expectation and they're just trying to muscle their way through everything to get to that place of a burn so that there's a good ROI on their workout for the day? Do we make it different and so massively different than weight training so that it becomes just a kind of a stretchy, bendy, feel-good workout so that they can differentiate between what happens on the gym floor and what happens thing? Now, that's exactly it. So Kara's like, who doesn't love to be a little bit sore? You saw the football pictures. I come from that old school, dirty, grimy, lift, hard and dirty type workout type thing. So that mindset is, yeah, if he's not sore, I didn't do anything. But really, so now let's look at these comments here. So Polite Halifax is saying, who doesn't love to be a little sore? Yeah, I can appreciate that. And Ferbert saying, it depends on the client. So many clients like to have that soreness as an indicator of progress or exertion. Well said. I believe that a movement and muscle professional can service the expectation. Yeah, true. And Carrie said, I don't mind being sore, but I don't want to walk the next, but I want to walk the next day. Old way of thinking is no pain, no gain. Right? And then Phil saying, once again, by making a body part sore, but still get them to their goals without making them sore at all. Because you don't have to be sore to see progression. Well, how technical do you want to get there, right? But here's a comment from Flies Halifax. But there is a limit, and deconditioned clients will be sore even from a basic workout. However, it isn't necessary nor expected. And there's Misty. What's going on? Let's come with the comments here. So, and Sunny going where Joe now is saying, and Misty, we're talking about muscle soreness, and is that a real badge of honor for a workout? Do you expect that for people? Do they come in expecting that? I can't remember how I asked the question, but you'll read the comments, you'll see the flow. Let's see here. So going more Joe is saying, I say that because Pilates includes strength and stretch, but there is less lactic acid. So if they haven't used a muscle before, they will feel it. Well, yes, exactly. So when we get on the topic of new movers, beginning exercise, people who haven't exercised in a long time, there's that neuromuscular adaptation phase, right? Where their body is just getting used to the movement. So they're going to be mad sore from doing something and maybe not even use the right muscles, maybe not even be sore in the right places. So if we're like, hey, I was sore yesterday, that was such a good workout. It's like, well, were you really sore? Where were you sore? What really did you want to be sore? That sort of thing. And Lorna's saying, typically, my clients tend to feel soreness 2 days after Pilates. Interesting. Okay. Now, Lorna, is that your objective for them to feel that soreness after? The 2 days after, that's a Dom's principle, and that happens in anything if you're breaking down the muscle fiber enough, right? So, what are your objectives? Because there's so many Doms, exactly. There's so many elements to this, and it just kind of wavers all over the place. Kara, do you want to join me? Hit me up if you want to join me on the screen here. And let's see here. Applies Halifax. I lift heavy and I'm sore from that most workouts. And when I do an exercise in the studio I haven't done in a while, I feel that next day too. You can't build muscle without muscle breakdown. Well, that's a simple physics explanation. If I was to go out and go bowling today, I would be sore tomorrow because that's not a movement pattern that I do in my everyday life. I could bench press 315 all day long and go out and bowl and be sore like I haven't lifted a weight in my life. Why is that? It's a different movement pattern. So when we're talking with new people, new movers, this experience of DOMS is one thing. Someone who comes into your studio and they're walking out of it feeling sore, that's one thing. But is it the thing? Is it the objective? How do we get people to manage their expectations of a workout? Let's get Kara.
Hey, it's just setting up there. Not yet. Can you talk? It's spooling, it's thinking about it.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Pilates, Halifax,
Yeah.
Nova Scotia is in the house. Sorry I couldn't visit with you last week when Alex was there.
Hola. That's okay.
Man, that's gonna happen. Let me read Phil's comment.
There we go.
Then... Yes. Good? It's still laggy a little bit.
Delays. Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that's better.
Yeah, it'll settle in. Phil's comment there is, from a sales perspective, give what the client wants, and as a fitness professional, give what the client needs. Yeah, well, absolutely. So the client who walks into your class and is like, yeah, last class was all right. It wasn't that sore from it.
Mm-hmm.
How do you respond?
Well, I usually tell them that that's not necessarily the goal of Pilates because we're working so many different things. We want them to better their coordination, their proprioception. There's a lot going on mentally in the early days of the workouts. And I always explain that there's a bit of a paradox with Pilates because generally the better you get at something, the easier it gets. But we know that with Pilates, the better you get at it, the harder it becomes. And so it's easier as clients practice. It's easier for them to recruit the muscles they need for a given exercise so they get more out of it as they go.
Right.
But it's a different mentality from the gym, and I know, like when I go and deadlift and bench press, I'm looking for mass gains every time.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is the comments that come in here. So Lauren is saying, I mostly work with injuries and postures. So I work on postural muscles and stretch the opposing muscles. For example, strengthen the upper back and stretch the pectoral muscles. Right, so, right, exactly. Sonny's like, just kill him. Give him a proper workout. And implies Carrie saying, yes, exactly. Yeah, it is the managing expectations part. But I'm kind of hanging on this because there's a mindset too that comes with it, that like the average person walks in and the return on investment is, I was sore today.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
So as much like,
go
ahead.
Like, look, you and I had a quick chat last week about my workout with Dennis from Espace Pilates in Montreal. He killed me. I loved his lesson. He was like, I was working hard. It was buckets of sweat everywhere, splatter. It was like a crime scene of like splatter all over the studio. And I was vibrating. And in some cases I couldn't, he made me do the picking flowers and saw on the side splits. And so, and I do it, but it's different when you have a teacher right there. And I wasn't able to keep the carriage closed on that last set of the saw or the picking flowers. And I thought, oh man, I am so going to pay for this tomorrow. I'm going to be so sore. I wasn't sore at all from that workout. I felt fantastic. I felt open and light and strong. I felt some muscle fatigue, but there was no soreness. So sometimes, you know, we do a crazy hard workout and we think, oh man, this is going to be killer. But it just shows the conditioning that the Pilates method puts in your body, that I can go and do a workout like that because of my consistent practice and not have that soreness the next day. Yet maybe I go and do one set of side pull-ups on the Wunda chair and I haven't done it in 6 weeks and I'm sore the next day and I went, oh, what? Okay, more of that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's so many different elements to this that I think it is a broader conversation than saying like that was, you know, that wasn't a good workout because I still feel my chest. I could still move my arms, so that wasn't a good workout, right?
Yeah.
The other element, though, is something that was brought up yesterday is I'm not sure if Christine was saying that was in her teacher training, but like this, also the teaching that if the person's sore, that you didn't do a good job of teaching them. That's not the objective of Pilates.
Right.
So the person, you know what I mean? Almost the flip side to it. Like you failed as a teacher. If the person's feeling muscle soreness, they didn't get that opening and that lengthening and that freedom and that blah, 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 blah that you just mentioned.
Mm-hmm. I think that's an issue, you know, on a teacher training perspective, because it would cause, I think it would cause a teacher, especially a new teacher who maybe doesn't quite trust in the method, or a teacher who's not comprehensively trained, who doesn't trust in the complete method, to maybe do more of the ab series rather than just the 5 to 10 repetitions, or to add, you know, things that are more gym or fitness styled because they want their client to have that result, when that's not what we do. That is great. And like, do those fusion workouts and those CrossFit stuff. Like, that's fantastic. Go do that. But that's not Pilates. That's not what we're doing. So I think the newer teachers have to have the confidence and the trust in the method to move forward. When I did my first training, my first weekend, after the first weekend session of my peak Pilates training, and I had Pam Garcia, you know Pam.
Yep.
And did she give you those little coins that had words on them? Trust, honor, integrity. She made us pick these little jeweled, like almost things you could put on a necklace.
Okay.
And the very first one that I picked, we got to pick one after each weekend we were with her, was trust. And I always took that as like, trust the process, trust the system, trust the methods.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's easier said than done, right? Like, I mean, you really have to trust.
Right. Trust your trainer. Yeah. Without feeling like, from an outside perspective, it's like, oh, they're drinking the Kool-Aid, right? Yeah. Like, you just have to trust that the work we're doing is right for people in so many ways. I mean, when a client leaves feeling taller, that's a win for us. We've done our job. When a client feels more confident in their body so that they'll get down on the ground and play with their grandchildren, that's a win for us. That's not muscle soreness, right? So it's like that perspective of what does the client want? And yes, if I have a young, fit, you know, ball player, whatever, that comes into me and is like, I want it to be handed to me, I can hand it.
Right. Yeah.
Like, if that's what you want, we can play that game, but that's not necessarily what's best for that person.
Yes. And then even within that, and I love talking about that element of it. So how would you challenge that person? Like, I mean, like, we think automatically, well, let's just throw more springs on. Like, so what are the ways that you would challenge someone in that way? Just for those who are listening and watching. Yeah.
I mean, when I get athletes, I love taking them, I usually start with the electric chair. And I'm looking for that alignment and that one-sided ability to do things with control, because they're hockey players or ball players or whatever they're doing.
One-side dominant sports, especially.
Absolutely.
Right?
And then I take them from those nice heavy electric chair springs and I bring them over to footwork on like 1 or 2 springs. And make them.
Did anyone just catch that evil laugh there? Like,
I know. But it makes them work. It makes them understand how their limbs, that they are not limbs, that they are a torso that happens to have limbs connected to it, and that their power, their strength doesn't come from the big biceps and quads, right? Like it's coming from deep within where those things are connected. And so when you do that electric chair, you know, pumping, going up front, standing pumping, and then you take them over to super light springs on the reformer and like, no, you need to close that carriage.
Yeah.
You can't use your legs for that. Like your legs aren't helping you.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
That and like just really sparking their nervous system, right? And just like and challenging muscle balance, like all those different things are like that's all good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
Yep.
Yeah. The I think it comes back to expectations, like much like we were saying a minute ago about understanding what that person needs. But then in a group class, you know, a large group setting, how do you what's your open so that everyone in the room can understand that you're going to get something different out of this, but it's probably not going to be what you thought coming in. You know what I mean? Like I was thinking about that. Like, how do I phrase that so I don't have that guy who walks out of the class with, it was easy today. I'm not sore.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's tough in a big group setting, isn't it? I mean, I don't have my biggest class is 6 people. So I don't teach big group classes in the Halifax studio. Fredericton studio, we go up to 8. And when you have the springs, you know, the ability to use the equipment, I think everyone can get what they need from a class because it's as simple as dropping a spring on one reformer and adding one on the other to give those people the various things that they need to have, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But you know, but then there's like, oh, you get invited to the hockey club to teach the team. And so you're teaching a mat class to 20 people, 20 athletes or something. And how do you deal with that? Well, that's a skill that's developed over time and error.
Right. Honestly. And that's exactly it. And I think that, you know, the skill and error part is the thing, like to embrace those like it's going to happen, right? Like especially with teams like that, because everyone is strong, but many people are weak in some areas too, right? So I have kids I've worked with who can dunk, but they can't squat.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And how do you have the propulsion, the plyometric strength to dunk and not be able to squat? Like they're one and the same.
Yes. Right. But when they squat, their heels come up, they're on their toes, they lean forward, they rock. But then they can do a 1-foot jumper and bang up there. And you're like, okay, so let's take this back. And I love it when us as teachers can like break an exercise down. Like anyone can make an exercise harder. But I'm always amazed at when people can just break down a complex exercise in a way where, you know, like they can just like they can get it down to bite-sized pieces and get them moving back up to the complex exercise in that way, right? Like all that stuff, like that science for me is just fascinating to watch. Yeah, especially like back in the day as a personal trainer manager and seeing, you know, like you have like 15, 20 trainers on the floor in a big box gym setting, and some of the guys are so good and their clients did 1 exercise that day or 2 exercises that day. And they walk out and they're like just shaking, right? Because you just like fire them up in their nervous system and they're sweating. And then someone else has to go through 15, 20 exercises for them to feel like they got a decent workout, right? Yes, Canadians in the house. Blossom is right.
When you're talking about teachers that can break things down, Blossom. I love any lessons and time I've spent with Blossom because she is like the mistress of breaking it down and making your neurological system, you know, freak out. The internal shower that Joe Pilates wrote about is what we're talking about here, really, with that working from the inside, and you know, the muscle soreness doesn't come from there.
Right. Yeah. Nice. That is good. That's good stuff. I just like, you know, this is like kind of like not my growing edge, but like it's just another fresh challenge for me. And I like cause my studio, same thing, small groups, like, you know, partners do. I haven't really thrown in any more classes on the schedule since, you know, COVID, and just kind of been doing this. So I have a class in a big box setting. Like it's just like the one Pilates class during that day. So now everyone kind of converges on it. first week 24 people, second week 27 people in this class. And that's nothing to do with me. It's just that that's the only Pilates class at that time. So everyone who's heard of Pilates just at that gym just jumps into this class. So we have this cross section of dancers and people who do Pilates all week with different teachers, and people who are just looking for a stretch, and people who think that this is just a core workout, and this is my core day.
And then in a gym, you're going to get those people who are like, my doctor told me it'll fix my back pain. So you have an athlete and then someone who's got chronic back pain in the same setting. And how do you even manage that?
It's so fun. This is like
fun.
That's the thing. Like, I mean, like, if any time that you do something where you could fail miserably, someone could get hurt, and they can, invite you to not come back. That's a good opportunity to grow. So let's grow here. Let's figure this out, and see where it goes. So like I did some stuff last week, and then I had that experience this week. So okay, so let me change my open this week, and let's unpack some exercises differently next week, and we just go from there. But this is how we grow. Like, this is gonna make me better with my privates, working with 27 strangers, and it could be a different 27 people next Tuesday. Right? So this is how we get better. I love that stuff.
And that is, you hope that the teachers that are thrown into those situations have done training programs that had strong, rigorous apprenticeship that required them to teach groups and multiple people under the watchful eye of someone else. Because boy, when you get thrown into the sharks, if you can't swim fast, you're going to go down. I had an application for my teacher training program from a young woman who has done a yoga training and quite a good one. But she said from the very beginning, every time she stood in front of a class to teach, she felt like she was going to vomit on her mat every single time for like 18 months. She always felt like she was going to vomit because the part that was missing from that program was, how do you deliver the material you've been taught? And that's like, I get nervous in front of clients, and I've got 20,000 hours of teaching behind my belt, but the nerves are from a place of wanting to give the client what they're paying you for, and wanting them to like it so much they keep coming back, and wanting them to love it as much as we do. Right?
Yep.
The nerves aren't coming from a place of, oh shit.
Yeah. What if I forget the next exercise?
Yeah.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. And so what if you do? We've all forgotten exercises.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, there's real talk too. There's that part of like, well, I hope they like me, right? Like, I'm walking into a new club, a first day, a different way of teaching. I took a class the week before, and it was no disrespect, but someone who teaches yoga, who has a Pilates certification, who is still more yoga than Pilates, but has enough Pilates to be able to teach a Pilates class. Pilates.
Yeah.
That sort of thing, right? So like, I knew that what I was bringing was going to be vastly different than what they did last week. So then it's like, I hope they like me. I hope they like this. I hope they feel this. I hope that they don't just think that what was done last week with 17 props was better than what they're doing this week with just their body.
Yeah.
Because that's a big gym mentality too. Look at all these treadmills. I'm going to get a good workout because there's a Cybex 3000 in the corner, and there's a treadmill, an elliptical, and a row machine. But the best trainer's in the opposite corner with like a band, and that's it. And he's killing somebody. So I think the mindset of the more the better, the more variety, the better. All those different things come into it. So I think Overthinkers Anonymous over here. Hi, how you doing? Try to remember, right? So
Presidente.
So that's exactly it. So I feel like that all those things come into it. So I love the challenge of all that stuff. So I lean into that. So people, as I say this, it's not like, woe is me, Martin over here, I hope everyone likes me. It's just like, this is real talk about the process that brings me to a place of saying that this work that I'm doing is so good that I can overcome all of that stuff to give you what I think your body needs today.
And it's like, when I was a new teacher, I fell into I think as we all do and I think to back up a little bit, your first certification was a more contemporary style of Pilates.
Yeah, it was actually. Yeah, exactly.
So like, and mine wasn't, but when I was new and like, you know, like a bull in a china shop, I just wanted everyone to know exactly what Joe Pilates did. And this is this and that is not this kind of thing. And now I'm more of the perspective like, I do what I do. I know what it is. And whatever you're doing somewhere else, if you are moving, if you are exercising, if you are being healthy and you're being kept safe, cool.
That counts.
That's great. I know in my head what I would call that and what I would call this, but that doesn't, it doesn't matter to the client. Clients don't give a shit. They don't care. They really don't. They don't know when they come to my studio or your studio or someone else's studio that has whatever that they're calling Pilates. It is, that's, they think they're getting what they're getting. So they don't know that what you taught on the Tuesday and what the yoga and Pilates trained person taught on the Tuesday isn't all the same thing. Right. And how much do they retain from this week to next week? Because I have clients that have been with me for 15 years that still say, I've never done this exercise before. And it's like stomach massage. Really? You do it every time you're here. Right.
Yeah.
So I think as long as we're keeping our clients safe and that they're getting what they're paying for.
Yeah.
And if that's ass kicking, good. And if it's rehab, good.
Yeah. The best line that I heard from, I think it might have been Brett Anderson, is that like, if you go to the dentist, you don't ask the dentist what kind of drill he's using or what kind of seat you're sitting in or what brand of light is overhead. You either fix my tooth or you don't fix my tooth. Are you competent to deal with this cavity? They're not going to ask what your lineage is or what brand of chair you're using. What, you know what I mean? Like, it's only in this little silo of what we're doing that we get so specific. And you're like, to your point, the consumer really doesn't care. No. Are we going to help their back or not?
Right. That's right. And there are many ways that someone's back can be helped, from weight training, from going for a walk, going paddling, you know, de-stressing, changing their eating habits, getting more sleep. I mean, I did my whole master's degree in back pain. And the one thing we know is that we know nothing about what causes or fixes back pain. And we know that for certain. We don't have a clue. So if Pilates helps someone, awesome. If TRX helps someone, fantastic. Whatever. Right?
Whatever. There's a few comments that flow through as we were just on that soapbox a minute ago. So Phil's question was saying, question for you, how do you work on yourself so the client comment doesn't spark a, I'll make that sore again. All right. So let me read that again. Oh yeah, so the kind of like internal conversation, like how do we not basically just like let our egos rise up and just decide to crush our clients at that point, right? Like that's the thing. I think we touched on that, but I think that is
that's experience and trust.
That's experience. Yes. Yep.
Yeah, and like I think, you know, taking lessons and working collaboratively with other teachers in your community and like continuing to learn, not getting stuck in our little box, I think is just such a huge thing, because I think the moment that we think we know it all, we ought to stop teaching. Because, you know, in taking lessons and workshops with Jay Grimes, he says, and I love it, he's like, you know, I was teaching this such and such exercise the other day and I thought to myself, I wonder if Joe was trying to do this. He's been teaching since the dawn of time and he's still learning.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. This kind of sparks a thought for me too. When we start to focus in on our clients and the nuances of how to make the exercises more challenging and those things, I've caught sometimes how some of my clients get caught up in what I'm looking for. And then it's like, say, I'm looking for the nuances of it or trying to unpack an exercise in a certain way. And we're doing all these different things. And what happens is over time, if we're not careful, our clients get so caught up on what they can't do that they miss the opportunity to celebrate what they can do. And I've seen that too, where people are like, my pinky is in the wrong spot every time I do this exercise. And it's because, and I have to say that I fostered that because we're trying to get this exercise in a way where they feel certain things, but then like they eat up the minutia of those movements, but then they also get obsessed with the minutia of the movement, and they forget the fact that they've done the last 5 exercises like in a great way for them. And then all they look at what they can't do, right? So I mean, it's just finding that balance so we can celebrate, move, and flow, but then also get deeper in the movement at the same time.
I think understanding the purpose of an exercise makes that so much better, because if the purpose of an exercise is articulation, does it matter what your pinky finger's doing? Well, probably not.
Right.
I have clients that say, should I point or flex my feet? I honestly don't really care until your thigh bone and your torso are doing exactly what I want. Say, for example, on the one leg circle, until you're able to hold your body still and circle your leg at the same time, it doesn't matter what your ankle's doing. Not really.
Right,
if the purpose is pelvic stability. So it's like trying to get people out of the minutia and into the greater purpose of a particular movement.
Yes. That's the thing. Yeah. Lots in there.
A lifetime.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So good. When's your next teacher training? What's going on in terms of the studio?
We are starting a teacher training the weekend of October 21st to 23rd.
Okay.
So I'll be running a mat teacher training as well as a comprehensive, kind of concurrently. And like Halifax is desperate for teachers. I'm overbooked, and I could probably hire 2 full-time comprehensive teachers and have them full in a matter of weeks. And so I'm hoping the teacher training gets me some staff. Man, I'd love to have you here. I've got Julia Cabral from Toronto is coming down the week after next to teach with me for a week, and some of my teachers from Fredericton are coming on a rotation to help me here as well, so that's good. But all the studios here are hungry for staff, whether they're yoga teachers or other like contemporary Pilates studios, gyms. Everybody's hungry, and that's good. I think coming out of COVID, the industry is picking up, and people are more focused on their health after the last couple of years, and so I think it's good everywhere.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Longing to be in Nova Scotia again.
Welcome anytime.
Yes. Got to do this whole election thing first. We'll get that out of the way.
I know. When is that over?
Well, the advanced polls will be October 7th. So I'm under a month away from the first advanced polling day, which is insane because I've been talking about this for like 6 months. And then October 24th is E-Day.
Awesome. Well, good luck.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Brittany Murphy, for real. What's going on? Yeah, that's exciting stuff. And I like diving deep on movement. As much as like there's a lot of stuff going on out in our world, coming back to movement, coming back to the mat or to the reformer has been life-giving for me. And I was saying that in one of my core conversations earlier this week, how like in all the business of the world, of my world, and like trying to put on those different hats, like coming back to this place of just doing the work and just being able to get lost in the method itself has been so life-giving for me.
Yeah, I think that's something that newer teachers and newer studio owners and lots of other studio owners probably struggle with, is putting the time into their own bodies to work out. And that's non-negotiable time for me every week. I have a minimum of 3 solid, like 45-minute Pilates workouts in my studio every week. I lift twice a week, sometimes 3. Like we have to, not only do we have to walk the talk. Sorry, my phone told me it was dying. Not only do we have to walk the talk, we have to care about our bodies. Like you have to set that example, and it's hard.
Yeah, it is hard. But
I become a better teacher by working out and learning what the movement does in my body and working out with a
Yes.
friend. Like if you come and visit, I can't wait to work out side by side with you and see what the movement does in your body. And that is
Yes.
like, that's such a cool thing to, and a perspective to be able to pass on to our clients.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah.
So much in there.
I know.
That was great. Thanks for jumping on. Just
Oh,
really
thanks for
appreciate
having me. Yeah, it's
that.
fun.
We're gonna have some fun tomorrow. We have I have a guy coming on, and we're gonna talk about men and Pilates and growing your business and any of the barriers that they may experience
Yeah, cool.
in that. So it'll be interesting to see what his perspective
Well,
is.
if they have any, if he knows of any male Pilates teachers in my area who wants to move to Halifax, let me know.
Yes. Yes. Where in Halifax is your studio? I have a few friends that just moved out there. That's my brother asking.
Yeah, that's your brother? Cool.
Mhm.
827 Bedford Highway. So I'm in the West Bedford area. And I saw he also asked for my thesis. It's pretty boring, but I'm happy to send it along to you, Martin, and you can pass it
Okay.
on. Yeah.
That's so funny. I don't know. I'm sure it'd be an interesting read for him. He's a kind of physio movement
Cool.
lover too, right? So
Cool.
nice. Well, yeah. Thanks. What are you up to? I mean, you just like gave me like half an hour of your time, busy girl. Like,
Yeah,
crazy.
I worked my schedule for the fall that when I teach on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but only the evenings, like 4 to 8. So I have my mornings on Tuesdays and Thursdays to kind of catch up on stuff in the studio, do my workouts, vacuum my house, the usual life
Yes.
stuff. So who's that? Pilates Carrie,
That's
don't
Carrie. Yeah,
tease.
her husband's my guest tomorrow. So this is
Oh, awesome.
yes.
Yeah, move to Halifax. I'll take it.
Yeah.
I've been interviewing people from away. Getting a visa is a lot of work, but something I'm willing to do to get teachers.
Yes.
No problem. Yeah, so I'm busy, but I like making time for this cool community that we have.
It's such
Sweet.
a cool community.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, awesome. All right, well,
Very
I've got a jet because my phone's gonna die.
All right. Do your thing. Thank you so much for your time. As always.
Thanks.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. Later. Kara is just a perfect example of just the real people that are out there in this Pilates world. And Halifax is going to be growing, and obviously she's going to be part of that. That is so awesome. Fine Tune Pilates, Carrie Miller Pilates. What's going on, everybody? JL, how are you? Rooted in Pilates. We're gonna get this. It's gonna be good, man. Oh, you're going in October. Amazing. Yes. So yeah, Brittany, reach out to Kara for real. That'd be it's so good to have you out there. Phil, maybe you and I should coordinate a time to go out because my stepdaughter is actually at Dalhousie, so there's my excuse to be in Halifax now for the next 4 years. And I definitely want to get some roots in there and get some workouts in, maybe teach at a Kara's studio occasionally when I'm in town. Just so many plans. It's such a great, if you guys have not been to Halifax, it's such a great city. Nova Scotia is amazing. All right, so new friendships are formed, things are happening in the chat. Yes, she is absolutely fabulous. And thank you all for once again making these core conversations so amazing. I just love how, yes, let's go for a drive. Last time, fun fact, last time I was in Halifax, I found a car, same car as mine that guy was selling. And I tried talking my wife into driving the car back from Halifax, but it just didn't work timing wise. So I was going to buy a classic car and drive it back. And that would have been the end of our vacation. So that doesn't really always work. So that didn't work out, but I would drive there for sure. That would be fun. All right, party people, we are digressing and we'll be back at it tomorrow. Thank you for joining us and we're out.